Hey everyone, I'm Chris Stoddard, this is Tanner Makanoa, this is Ben Swallow, and this is Ashton Hunt, and this is the Oddcast, the podcast where Ashton gives us $20 for being on the podcast.
She laughs and she doesn't want to.
No, like I'm serious, like give us $20 so you're not on it.
No.
Okay, podcast is over.
Turn off the cameras.
Adadillo, kick her out.
I thought we were supposed to hide that again.
We'll hide it next episode, even though I said that 3 episodes ago.
I know,
It's
it's been
fine.
sitting in
He's
the
happy
same
there.
position.
Yeah, he's fine.
Ashton, thanks for coming on the Oddcast. I'm sorry that things were kind of orchestrated. Yeah, miscommunicated wrong.
No, it's
or
all
poorly,
good.
but that's besides the point.
I was trying to go through our text. I'm like, did I not say this clearly?
No, it's all good. I'm stoked to be here.
Yes, we're stoked to have you. We wanted to have Ashton on to talk about kind of how you got into music and just why is it your passion? Like what makes it? What do you love so much about music that makes you want to pursue it or just like, create it every day?
Right. So the way I got into it, it's actually really funny. My uncle lived with me and my family when I was in like 5th grade, and he was in this like really cool like folky band, and they would practice in our garage, and I was like, my bedroom was above the garage, right? So I'd like lay on the ground as like a 10-year-old with my ear like to the floor. And I'd like listen to them practice. And then eventually I got like super brave and I like snuck down into the garage like after I was in bed, right?
Like you weren't supposed to.
Yeah, like I wasn't supposed to. And I was like, oh, I'm like in bed, but I like snuck into the garage and I would like listen to them play. And I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. They would like write songs and hang out, and I was like, this is so rad. And then they had a show at Jazzy's. Is that what it was called? That old like
Jazzy Java.
Jazzy
Yeah,
Java. What's it
mhm.
called? It's like just the
Blue Cats or
Blue
something.
Cats
Blue
Cafe or
Skins.
something. Yeah, they
Uh-huh.
had a show there like a little while later. I don't know, so long ago, but and they had me play the washboard.
Yeah.
And
What?
It was, yeah,
You like
it was
Real
so
folk
cool.
music right there.
Yeah.
My
Yeah, so
musical
I-
journey started with the washboard.
I like had a washboard and a spoon, and I had like blue skinny jeans on because I was in 5th grade, but it was awesome. So that was like really my first exposure to like people sitting down together and creating music together, and it was really, really cool.
Can you describe the feeling of performing like when you were that young? Because I don't think most people have even gotten that opportunity. So
Did you not
I-
do choir in 5th grade like everyone else?
I guess that's true.
That feeling, I don't know. I was like, my job's not that important, like, because I was so offbeat.
The washboard is too important.
It right. It had the right aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
But but I was like, I don't know, like they wouldn't really give me a job that would like ruin everything. So I wasn't super nervous, but it was like I felt so cool because their like call time or whatever was like 11:30 or midnight or something, and I'm like,
And they kept
10
you up
years
that
old.
late?
You're
Yeah.
like, heck
For
yeah.
sure, it was so
That's
cool.
a funkle right there if I ever heard of one.
Yeah, it was so rad. It was like one of the best nights of my life, and I was like 10, best feeling. But it was like kind of nerve-wracking because I was like surrounded by all these older people, right? But no, I think it was actually just a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So
That's so
yeah.
sweet.
I can imagine little Ashton just head to the ground, just like listening. That's so crazy. So your uncle kind of in his band introduced it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember like the first time you ever tried to create your own music, or like do you remember that experience?
Yeah, so my uncle, again, he like noticed that I obviously was taking interest in the music, and he
Right.
went to the DI and he bought me this guitar that was like this big, and like the back of it was coming off, the strings wouldn't stay in tune. It was such a piece of crap, but I loved it so much. And so once I got that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can write songs now. And I wrote a song about one of my friends and like just like our cool friendship or whatever. I don't remember any of the words. I don't remember anything about it, but but again, it was probably like around that time that I started realizing that I wanted to create music.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that like, how did you know like the structure of it? Did you even know how to like? First, you got to make the beat, or like?
Yeah, absolutely not.
It was just kind of right off the
yeah,
dome.
I just like he taught me like 2 chords maybe, and I just ran with that, and I just like was like, cool, like I'll play this one, and then when it like feels good, like I'll change to the other one, and then I'll just like pretend that I know how to make up a melody and like all these words, and just kind of like threw it all together, and it probably was so bad. I think I played it for my friend and she said she liked it, but I guarantee you it was so bad.
It's kind of like my first song with Tanner and Christian told me it was good.
I don't want to get into that.
Do you ever like take what you know now and you're like, how did I ever function without this knowledge? Because sometimes like I'm like for example, if I'm making like a drum pattern, I'll either put the snare or the clap on the third beat or like the second and fourth. I don't even know what it's called. Like it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, like for a beat or whatever. You either put the snare on the second and fourth or the third. And it's like now that's like the first thing I do is I start with that whenever I make drum patterns and stuff. And I'm like thinking about like a year ago, I'm like, how did I do this for so long without knowing these rules? Like,
yeah.
So like, do you ever like learn now and you're like, how did I even do anything?
Kind of. The weird thing about the songs that I write, though, a lot of them don't really fall under like a beat pattern. That's why I don't really show them to anybody, is because they don't really make sense musically.
Well, neither
like,
does 21 Pilots.
Like music theory and stuff like doesn't really apply to the songs that I write, because I don't really like keep a beat. I just kind of flow with it, and it doesn't ever really make sense. All my songs, I'll never play them the same way twice.
Really?
It's like art. It's like true art.
And so that's why I never really show them or put them out, because if anybody ever wanted me to play them again that exact same way, I probably couldn't.
So you don't write the music for other people, you just write it for yourself and to explore that, or? Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, there have been times where I'm like, there's like 2 songs that I'm like, I really should put these out because I think people could relate, and I think I would hope people could benefit from it. But then I just get nervous, and I'm like, but I don't know if they will. I don't know if I can ever play them the same way again. And then I kind of just like talk myself out of it. So, yeah.
You know what I think is funny about that? So I was playing pickleball with a few other friends. Tanner wasn't there, unfortunately.
What?
I was cheating on you. Anyway, actually, I lied about that. I would never cheat on you, but I was at the pickleball courts for some reason. No, I was playing pickleball with some friends, and this little like 2 or 3-year-old kid comes out of freaking nowhere, and he just picks up one of our extra paddles and balls and just like runs away, and just like is playing with this paddle, and it like was such an like, just thinking about how much we can learn from kids. Like, that kid does not care one bit that he just stole our paddle.
That's not yours.
That's not his paddle, right? And so I was just like, we should be more like that. Obviously, like, not just go stealing people's paddles, but it's like, how often do we talk ourselves out of things because we're like, oh, what will people think? But it's like, just like me and Tanner play pickleball sometimes. I'm like, dang, we should ask those 2 people if we can play doubles. But I like talk myself out of it because I'm like, that's weird. But then as soon as somebody's like, yo, you guys trying to play doubles, me and Tanner are like, oh yeah, sure. So it's like, why do you think, like, what kind of head chatter goes on to like make you talk yourself out of sharing your music?
Oh, that's a heavy question, Chris. I don't know. It kind of falls back to like, I will never play them the same way twice. Yeah. That kind of really gets me stuck in my head and makes me feel like I really shouldn't put myself in a position where I could potentially not live up to any expectation that someone has of a song that I wrote, because it'll be different than it was when I put it out. Yeah. And so that kind of keeps me from releasing it. I also this is going to sound so dumb, but I don't have like as great of equipment as I would like to have, and so it doesn't sound as good as I would like it to, and so that keeps me from putting it out. And then I just write a lot of songs about boys I've dated. And I don't
block them.
And I don't want them to hear it because they don't deserve that.
I mean, Chris does that sometimes.
I do. Okay, you listen to my music.
He just releases them like way down the road.
No, yeah, seriously though, because like sometimes like I'll like write about something, like that happens, And Tanner's like, isn't this kind of obvious? Like, they're going to know. I'm like, this isn't coming out for like 6 months. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, to kind of go off of what Chris was saying, Chris always uses the term, at least I've always heard you say, sometimes you just have to be too stupid to know any better. In like a way of like, put yourself out there, because a lot of people like, in a made up story, right? I could be thinking in my head and be like, no, I don't want to show this director my acting skills because like it's not professional. It's not cool enough. But then if I were to have done that, and then if I did get the opportunity to be casted in a role or something like that, it's like you really do have to be too stupid to know sometimes any better. Just because I feel like it gets you out of your comfort zone. And so would you say that there has ever been a time in your music career where you have, I don't know, felt like you put all fear aside and you just kind of performed and you did it and it was like, this is sick?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, just over a year ago, I actually opened for a really cool band down here called the Backseat Lovers.
You told me about this.
Yeah, and they're a sweet band. They're so good, so talented, great music. I love them. They are so rad. And it was like crazy how it all came together. But long story short, I ended up opening for them, and I was so scared. I was freaking out.
How many people was there?
I think it ended up being like 80 people.
Okay, that's pretty decent.
Or like 75 or something, but it was packed though, small room, so it felt huge, even though it probably wasn't that massive. Right, but like the room was small, so it was so close, and everybody was like so hyped, and I was like, oh my gosh, like they're gonna hate me because I'm not as cool as this band, and like, and I was also singing some originals, and I was so scared for that. I had 2 in my set, and then I had a few covers that I was really excited to share. I was stoked to share the covers because I was like, I felt no responsibility.
Any Halsey covers?
No, actually, what? I did.
Taylor Swift.
No.
Come on. Jeez, I don't even know who you are.
I'd say I listen to more than Halsey and Taylor Swift. But
no, I'm just saying I know those are like some of your faves.
They are some of my faves, you're right. But yeah, so I like walked out there after I was like introduced. It was really cool. Everyone was stoked. And I just like sat on this stool with my guitar, and I just like took this big deep breath, and I was like, okay, like I can do this. And I just like went for it. I think I had like 4 or 5 songs on my set, and like people were like seemed happy with it, and it was a really cool opportunity. I like met the band and stuff, and like it was really, really cool. And it was definitely a different kind of like natural high to like hear the applause. And like I sang a John Bellion cover.
Ooh, which song?
Human. And I did.
Oh, I wish I was there now.
I did
giving me FOMO.
I did the piano version of it, and I played.
So good.
Oh,
so good. So I played the piano to that song, and I could see people like singing it back to me, and I was like,
"Oh, that must be so surreal."
Is that not so just surreal. The best feeling?
It was so crazy. I was like, I understand now why people like do this till the day they die, pretty much. Like it was really, really cool, and I haven't felt anything quite like it since then. But I was definitely so scared. You should have saw me like before, like in sound check. I was like, "Are you sure it sounds good? Like, are you sure that that's level? Are you sure that you can hear my vocal and the guitar? Like, what about the piano? What about the bass?" Like, I was a wreck. Like, I probably was so annoying that night beforehand because I was just like so stressed and so scared, and I just wanted to do so well. But yeah, that was.
Do you feel like once you started performing, those fears? Did they diminish, or like did they leave, or were they still there, just like lighter? Maybe?
Kind of, yeah. So when I went into the first song, that whole set is actually a blur, to be honest.
Oh,
like,
I bet.
Most of it is a blur. I don't remember what my first song was.
Like you don't remember performing, or you're like halfway through a song and you're like, I don't even know what's going on right now.
Yeah, seriously. Like I started the first song and like it kind of melted away because I was playing my guitar. I feel really safe behind my guitar. Like singing to a track or to someone else like playing whatever for me really stresses me out. But I feel really safe behind my guitar. So like that melted away. And then like as the set went on and I was getting closer to doing Human, because I don't play the piano. I just learned that song on YouTube.
What?
And so I was...
And you're that talented? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was so scared because I don't like, I can't read sheet music. Like I just memorized like the muscle movement for it. And so like leading up, and that was my second to last song. And so like the fear was coming back.
Right.
So as I like stepped over and sat at the piano, my hands were just like shaking and I was so scared. It ended up being okay. And that actually ended up being my favorite song on my set list. But
that's so sweet.
Yeah, it was super fun, super awesome. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I've never been more scared in my life.
Yeah, see, but like that's the craziest thing, because not only were you like playing piano and singing, but like you're playing guitar, like those things, they don't make sense in my mind. Like I've talked about this before on the podcast about guitar. I've never really played guitar, but my buddy like showed me a couple of strings and stuff. I suck at guitar. Like, how do you guys? Because you three play.
Dude, that's how I feel about editing
guitar.
video. You start editing stuff, and I'm like, what is going on?
I don't know. Like musically, I'm just not there. And so like,
But you have a really good singing voice.
You got that sweet Polynesian vocal cords.
Yeah.
no, but like you guys are singing and doing guitar or piano. Is that like, I don't know, like for people who aren't into music or instruments, was that hard for you to pick up, like to play at the same time as you were singing, or was it just kind of like, did it come naturally after learning guitar?
Kind of yes and no. When I first started playing, I learned everything I know from YouTube pretty much. I learned a couple basics from my uncle, but pretty much most everything that I know is from YouTube. I can't read sheet music. I can't read like any kind of music pretty much. And so I just watch a lot of people play and watch how they handled themselves while they played. And I've been singing like my whole life. My mom has videos of me at like 4 years old singing. I could practically sing before I could talk. But
I believe it.
Yeah.
So it did come naturally to sing and play at the same time, but it depended a lot on the song. If it was just a song that I could just strum to, or like had a very simple picking pattern, being able to sing to that was really easy. And I always tried to pick songs that I knew really well or that meant something to me so that I wouldn't get sick of practicing them. But songs that I have wanted to learn for someone else or for some special occasion or something like that, I seem to have a little bit of a harder time putting two and two together. But
right.
Yeah.
That's insane. I'm thinking about like just kind of sorry to go kind of back of what you were saying, like before you came out on stage, and like how you said you must have been the most annoying person and everything. Like I feel that to a small extent, because of, and this is so like such a far throwback, but in high school, Matt Morgan and I did like a dance thing for like senior show off or something like that, and I remember
you guys killed it
literally
too.
being so nervous over something so stupid because like I don't
Wait, do you remember that I was in senior show off too?
Yes, I do, and I was gonna bring that up, but like I genuinely know what you're saying, because like I don't like really take dance like or serious or anything like that. It's just more like for fun. And I remember freaking out because I was like, yo, I'm going to be performing in front of all these people. But then as soon as I got on the stage, I literally immediately, like, just in my mind was like, okay, you're acting, just act.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so like, that's why I kind of was wondering if like you had felt that way of like the fear kind of going away when you were performing Human. But to go back to the senior show off, what song did you perform? I can't remember.
I did Hallelujah.
Yes.
Yeah, and they asked
Yes,
me
I
to
do.
cut a verse out of it, and
I remember
and then
that was so stupid.
and then I didn't.
That was so stupid. I
Why'd
was
they
so
ask you to cut a
glad.
verse?
I think they said it was like too long or something for
I
the
bet
for
it
the
was
assembly.
because the person wanted to perform. The person who told you was in charge of it, right? Wasn't
I think
like that
yeah.
girl
Yeah, I think
in
she
charge
was.
of it.
I
Name
mean,
drop,
don't
no.
put her on blast. But my bad, never
I'm
mind.
not putting her on blast. But yeah, I think she performed too.
Did she? I don't remember. I just remember like having to be there so early. I was so tired and I was super nervous, obviously, like because I feel like no one really knew that I liked music as much as I did in high school since I played basketball and just like kind of hung out with that crowd. Like I didn't really start putting a ton of effort into music until like the end of senior year, I feel like. And so I was worried people like didn't even know that I wanted to do music or like or that it was a huge part of my life. And so I was like super nervous about that, and then she was like, hey, you need to cut one of your verses because it's too long and we have like a limited time for the assembly.
She was just jealous.
Trash.
And I was like, okay, yeah, sounds good, whatever. And I remember being really upset because I was like, I don't want to do that.
You can't just cut
and I
out a
can't remember.
verse.
I can't remember if you told me, but someone backstage was like, just don't.
Yeah, it was Christian and I, because I remember Christian was about to do his bodybuilding poses, and we were gonna do the dance, Matt and I, and we were like, don't freaking.
And so
cut
I
it.
didn't.
What are they gonna do? Be like, I don't know, stop.
Yeah, and that's what they said too. They were like, "What are they gonna do? Like, come out and stop you? Like, just don't cut it." And I was like, "Okay."
I was so proud of you when you did, because I was
Thanks,
like,
Tanner.
I never knew that. That's funny.
that's such. I don't know. That was so messed up to me. I think that's so
that's
weird.
kind of screwed up. Do you want to pursue music as like a career? Like you say that you like want to pursue it, but does that mean you just want to have it as like a hobby, or would you like to make it your life?
Answer carefully.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question for me because my main thing that I want to do in life, honestly, is be a mom and be a wife. And I know that sounds so like old fashioned of me. Wow. But
It's not if it's what you want and what makes you happy, then that's
yeah. And I think that's what I want the most, obviously. And I was kind of telling Tanner this before we started. I was like, obviously, if someone came in right now and was like, hey, do you want a record deal? I would say yes. And I would definitely put my whole entire heart and soul into that. But I mean, I do love music and it is a huge part of who I am. And I wouldn't trade my talents for anything. But I think when it really comes down to what I want in life and where, as of right now, where I'm at in life, I kind of am just focusing on my education and becoming good for being a wife and a mother and those kinds of things.
That's cool. One of my favorite artists is Nick D. He's not like big. He has like 200,000. I mean, he's big enough. He has 200,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. But one of my favorite things about him is his bio on Instagram. It says like what he does, right? And it's like father, husband, father, independent artist. And I'm like, I really think that should be. And like Eminem always says that too. He's like, I mean, because his relationship with his wife went south. So he'd always say like, I'm a father before I'm a rapper.
Yeah.
And I just like, I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like Logic retired so he could be a dad and like give his son 100,000% because he's like, I love my son more than rap. I mean, I'm sure he could do both, but it's like he has the money. Why not just be a dad, a dad and a father. So I respect that.
Yeah. So I think, that's probably that's a good way to put it is I definitely want to be like, I mean, obviously I'm not married and I don't have kids, so I can't say like wife, mother before singer. But like for right now, like I definitely want to be like good friend and good daughter, good sister before a singer. If
That's
that
a
makes
really
sense.
cool way to put that. I like that. Would you say, because at the beginning of the podcast, Chris had mentioned that you like Taylor Swift and Halsey and those kind of people. Who would you say, out of your favorite music artists, who would you say has like inspired you the most, or like you've felt like you've wanted to kind of relate to?
That's a hard question. I listen to a lot of different things. I actually have a playlist on my phone of like 52 songs, I think is how much is on it right now, that I never skip. Like whenever they come on my shuffle or whatever, like I will never skip them. I think Julia Michaels is really cool. She's a super talented writer. Like she just is so talented and writes so well. So I think she's one for sure. I do love Halsey. I think she's an amazing storyteller. She has a lot of concept albums, and so they all connect, and it's really cool that way. I mean, Taylor Swift, I hate to admit it, but she is the music industry, and she's that for a reason, and I think she has a really...
Oh, what about Drake? No,
I'm just saying
or The
that
Weeknd.
she just has this amazing capability to tell stories as well and write really well. And
she does all of her own writing.
Yeah.
Right?
And as a singer-songwriter, like that's huge that she just has, built this entire empire.
She's been
pretty
around
much
for a long time.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And so I can't help but, tip my hat to her because of everything she's done. But I also love Lainey. I mean, he's a really good writer too. Lav, I don't know if that's how you say his name, but do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who
his
you're
song with
talking
Blackberry was so good.
Yeah.
I
That's the only
never
time
know
I've
how
heard
to
of him.
pronounce that.
Yeah, I don't either, but I love him. He's one of my favorites too. John Bellion. I mean, going back to John Bellion, he was like the coolest concert I've ever been to. He was so rad. So yeah, I mean, that's just a few. I could seriously go on and on about all the people that I listen to that have influenced me, but when it really comes down to it though, I think it all comes back to lyrics for me. Because like I said, like music theory, I don't really know it. I don't know how to apply it to my music. So when lyrics like hit really hard, that really is what will send me into like a euphoric state while I'm listening to music.
So obviously other artists will have influenced you musically and things like that, but how much would you say the music you listen to actually affects your life? Like your average day-to-day thinking, the way you do things. Would you say it does affect you a lot?
Yeah, I'd say so. I listen to a lot of sad music because like I said, lyrics are like my thing. But I was actually listening to Roses by the band Camino. Do you know who that is? They're sweet. They write some really fun stuff. I was listening to Roses by them the other day, and I had my windows down. And I was just like driving down Sunset, and I was like, life is so good. But I think a part of that really was like this really upbeat, like party kind of vibe song playing in the background. Well, if not in the background, it was up like all the way. And just like feeling some warm air coming into my car and like the wind blowing in my hair. And like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like, yeah, it's fun to drive down Sunset Boulevard with your windows down, but like, how much more fun is it when you add like a super cool song to it and like kind of give your life like a soundtrack? That sounds so cheesy. Wow.
No,
but
that's not.
but like
I think everybody does that. So.
yeah,
That's
and so
true.
I think that it does affect me a lot, but it also has saved me in so many situations where I have felt like super sad, or I was really excited about something, or like I needed to hype myself up or whatever. I feel like it's nice to know that I can always find a song to like accompany me to that.
Would you say it's like therapeutic for you?
Oh yeah, I
Like, just
spend
listening to that?
so much time just like laying on the floor of my room, and I
Yeah.
got some new speakers for Christmas. I'm sure my
Ooh.
family loves that. And because I got a new record player actually, and the speakers that came with it also double as a Bluetooth speaker, which is awesome. And so I will just lay on my floor and just turn that up so loud.
I
And
love that you lay on your floor.
yeah, it's always on the floor. I don't know why. And
Yeah.
Chris knows that because anytime we've written together, I always have to lay on the
Always gotta
floor.
go lay on the floor.
Yeah, I always have
I'm
to lay
like
on the
sitting in my
floor.
chair. I'm like, you can sit down. She's like, no, I like the floor.
Yeah.
All right.
all the songs that I have written that I have not deleted or forgotten, I've written on the floor. So I don't know what that's about,
It's a
but
safe place.
I'm just a floor person, I guess. But and I have these like little sticky balls that I throw on the ceiling, and they'll like fall back to me. I will do that for hours. I'll just like lay on the floor and listen to music and just like throw them at the ceiling, and they'll fall back to me. And
Yeah.
I can do it for hours, and I usually do if I don't have anything to do for my
That's the way to
day.
do it.
Yeah. Or like when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'll just like tell everyone, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go in my room and listen to music. Like, don't bother me.
gonna go throw some sticky balls at the ceiling.
Hey, it's
I-
like
Dude,
Go
my
start
mom
sticky
bought
balls.
me those. Okay, kid you not. Christmas. Thanks, Mom. Those things that, at least the brand that I got, sucked. I threw them up, didn't come down. I literally left it
So
up
does
there
that mean that they
for like a
works
day.
too well? Is that a thing?
No, they didn't do their purpose right because it didn't come back down. I think. I don't know how
Did they
that
never
worked.
come down, or did they come down like a few hours
I
later?
had to rip it off.
Jeez.
Okay,
I had to jump
so
up and grab
Maybe you
them.
just didn't
Yeah,
wait long enough.
I got two different. My little brother got me a set for Christmas. Thanks,
Uh-huh.
Eats. And
Shout out.
those ones work, and I
Okay.
should find out from him what they are because they
Yes.
work. But I bought a different pair from TikTok. Yes, I watch TikTok.
That's the ones that I was
You do
trying to
what?
get.
And they're still stuck on my ceiling right now.
Oh,
Really?
Like as we're sitting here, yeah.
I ripped mine off, and like you can see a little circle from where it was. Like it ripped the paint off or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some marks on my ceiling
I
too.
was like,
My mom was not happy.
yo, this is trash. Cause like
Maybe
I
you just
remember
need a better
just laying
ceiling.
there and throwing it.
Probably.
It just wouldn't come down, man. I don't know. I don't get it. So TikTok, you lied to me.
TikTok. I love TikTok.
Same.
If we're gonna get on the subject of
Yes.
TikTok, I love TikTok.
I think TikTok's hilarious. I think it's a great platform.
I also
to-
post a lot of
Yeah.
covers on TikTok.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
What's your? You can
Your
plug.
handle.
Give
It's
that a plug.
Ashton.hunt21. ASHTON.HUNT21.
Yo, go
on
follow.
TikTok.
Go follow.
And then on Instagram, it's Ashton Hunt Music.
Yes.
So you can
And
go
do
give
you
me a
post
follow.
We're gonna
regularly?
take a moment of silence. Go follow. No, just
do you post regularly?
I post pretty often on TikTok. It's a little easier to post like shorter videos on TikTok.
right.
And on my Instagram, I'll usually post like full covers.
Mm.
So I don't post on my Instagram as often as I'd like to. But yeah, I'd say I post frequently enough. I mean, I used to post every day, but that was exhausting, and it's so hard.
tiring.
Yeah, and so I was like, I can't post every day. So yeah, I post frequently, but not every day.
What have been some of your favorite covers that you've done on TikTok or Instagram?
I did Fast Car by Tracy Chapman.
That's a good song.
That's a great song. I've been covering that song for a couple years now, but it never gets old. It's so pretty. It's so fun to play. So I really like that one. I did what was another one that I really liked? I did If This Is the Last Time by Lainey. He has a couple lines in there that really relate directly to me and my mom, and so I really liked that song. All my Taylor Swift covers are so fun. I can't help it. Like, it's always fun to cover a good Taylor Swift song. I did Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo.
Is that on?
It's like
On TikTok or Instagram?
it's on TikTok and Instagram.
I need to go listen.
Is she gonna be like a one-hit wonder, or do you think she's gonna have longevity, like
She's a
relevance?
really talented
like
writer.
relevance.
I think she'll stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's super, super talented, like a really, really talented writer. I've watched some of her videos on Instagram and TikTok of her just like posting stuff that she's written, and anything that she releases, I think people will be able to relate to and
Yeah.
love. Because even at 22, she released a song about her getting her driver's license,
remind
and
me.
it was like my favorite song for like a month.
Don't remind me how young some of these super famous people are.
Yeah,
Everyone you
goes
are
their
at.
own pace.
I know. Yeah, you gotta. Everybody got their own journey.
yeah, for sure.
That's super intense. I like that. So would you say you prefer to do covers over originals, or are they pretty even?
When I'm posting, I definitely prefer to do covers just because it's safer.
Not as vulnerable.
It's not as vulnerable,
Yeah,
yeah. I do have one of my originals on my Instagram, though. It's called Tired. I wrote it when I was 18 about a boy that I dated in high school.
Drats.
And yeah, that song was like one of the first songs that I had written and finished. And that's probably the song that I play the most similar to the first time I wrote it, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
because it's different every time I play it, but I'd say since I've been playing it for so long and I wrote it so long ago that it kind of has found a home, sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that song's on there, and I was just like, I had written so many songs before that about this same boy, and I was so tired of writing about him. And
Oh,
so that's
there
why
you go.
it's called Tired. And so yeah, it's just like about how I'm really sick and tired of writing about him and thinking about him, and yeah, I wrote that one on my floor. So
What inspires you most to like write music or begin the songwriting process?
a good old breakup.
Love and loss.
Yeah, a good old breakup always kind
That's
of
funny.
that'll send me to go write a song pretty quickly. It's like my main way of coping, I guess.
I feel that.
Or I probably some of the things I've gone through in my family as well. I've written a couple of songs about that. None that I've really shared, but so it's probably just, hardship, I would say, as a broad term for it. Probably just hardship and anything that I don't really know how to express without the comfort of my guitar, probably.
So things that you would say have happened in the past, or that you can kind of let out emotion in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
That's super cool. I like that.
Can you kind of take us through your songwriting process, like what you do?
Yeah, for
First
sure.
step, lay on the floor.
Yeah, that is
Step,
the
throw
first
sticky
step.
balls.
Sticky
Yeah.
balls. Feeling.
The first step is definitely to go sit on the floor or lay on the floor. And then I'll
Do
usually
you play the guitar while you're laying on the floor?
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, I use my Taylor. It's like my lightest, smallest
Okay.
guitar, and so I'll play that while I'm laying on the floor. But yeah, so I'll lay on the floor, I'll grab my guitar, and I'll usually just start playing wherever I'll throw a capo on there sometimes and just start playing songs that I know and kind of branch off from them. And then once I find some picking pattern or chord progression that I like, I'll start just like mumbling to it. Like I won't even say actual words. Like I'll just kind of mumble to it and kind of try and sing to it, and then eventually words just kind of form themselves. It feels really cool when it all comes together nicely, because it comes out so naturally. I love that feeling. But sometimes I do battle though. I will like sit down and I'll write a couple of lines and I'll be like, oh, that was really good, and I'll like save that, and then I'll come back to it a couple days later and I'm like, that is terrible, why did I think that was good? And then
I feel
yeah,
you hardcore on that
so
one.
it's like I definitely have gone to battle with myself multiple times. But there have been also a couple of times where I've sat down and written a song in 5 minutes and
That's great.
and have been able to stick with it. Tired is actually one of them. Tired, I sat down and I pretty much sang the whole thing improvised. I made a few tweaks here and there, obviously, but most of that song was just improvised in that time. But yeah.
Do you ever surprise yourself? Like you like write something and then you're like whatever, and you come back to it later and you're like, did I do that?
Yeah.
Like you ever like, did I actually do that? Like
Yeah, I wrote a song after another different breakup. I've not dated that many people. I've not dated that many people, I swear.
Sure. Why don't you name them all?
You want me to name them all?
No.
There's,
No, whoa.
yeah, no.
Put them on blast. Tell them the bad things they did.
No, that's okay.
We all make our own mistakes.
Yeah. But wait, what was I saying? You got me all flustered now.
Yeah, you were
about
gonna
to
name all
write
the boys that
another
you
song.
dated.
She's about to get inspired.
but-
The floor
oh,
is
right.
open.
One of the breakups inspired
Yeah.
you for another song.
Yeah, so I wrote a song called 85. Like 4 people on this planet have heard it. I don't know if it even really exists, but
About to be 8.
and wait, what?
You said 5 people and there's 3 more. So
Oh,
you better-
right.
Live performance.
There's a guitar on
Live
the wall
performance.
over there.
And I like wrote it kind of in the same way I wrote Tired. It was in one sitting, and I wrote it on my electric, which I don't usually do. I don't usually write on my electric, and I wrote it, I recorded it as a voice memo, and I went to bed. And I woke up the next morning and I listened to it and I was like, dang, I was sad. And I was like, but that's also really good. And I was pretty impressed with myself that I didn't delete it, because I feel like normally at that point in time, I'm like, well, that was dumb. I should delete that and like actually sit down and write it, because I was also like half asleep when I wrote it. And so it was just kind of this weird like feeling that I woke up and actually was like, yeah, that was good and
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, I kind of wanted to ask you some underrated and overrated questions. Is that cool?
Yeah,
with you?
go ahead.
Okay, cool. So first one. Oh
Wait, do you not have these written down?
no, straight off the dome.
Right off the dome.
Okay, Taylor Swift, underrated, overrated, or popular, properly.
It depends on the era.
Okay.
You say
her,
era?
Her newest album.
I'd say it's right where it should be.
I haven't heard it. What's it called?
Evermore.
Should I?
Well, she has two. Two came out.
Yeah,
last
she
year.
released
Oh.
2, but her newest one is Evermore. You should listen to both of them.
Okay.
Evermore and Folklore.
And you
is
said
the
they're
one.
properly rated.
I heard
Mhm.
Folklore was super good. I'd never really
It
listened to
was
it.
super good. Highly recommend both of those albums.
I was told that Folklore was amazing, and then Evermore was even better.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But if we want to talk Reputation, that album, absolutely overrated. I don't like that album.
What? Why?
I don't know.
Yes.
I just didn't like it.
You just weren't a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean that's my personal opinion, right? I
Uh-huh,
know there are
right.
plenty of people out there that are like Reputation's her best album, like to each their own. But
What
it-
songs are on that one?
the
Look What You Made Me Do.
yeah,
is
Look
that-
What You Made Me Do.
Was that
like,
because of Kanye that she like kind of made that album?
I have no
you think?
idea. I like her and I like her music, but I don't really like dive into like all the investigations that a
Okay.
lot of her fans do. I do that with Halsey though.
Ooh, interesting.
I love Halsey.
Okay, Halsey.
She's underrated.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
Oh, she like,
what?
She's big though.
She's pretty big
like,
though.
Like she dated G-Eazy. Like they got 500 million views on him and I on YouTube. Like
She hangs out with David Dobrik.
I feel like that's
Yeah,
what
David
she's.
Dobrik.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
mainly
know.
known
I
for,
just
though.
I feel like I don't know how to explain this because I feel like she dated G-Eazy and she did this song with the Chainsmokers and she's done stuff with Benny Blanco and she's done things with all these really cool artists and I don't want to.
and she has her own name too.
Yeah.
So, like don't focus on the features, right? But
Yeah.
like, she has her own name.
And so I definitely don't want to like minimize anything that she's done with those artists because I love all of those songs that she's done.
yeah.
But like she has whole albums that I feel like are underappreciated. Like Badlands is her debut album, and that thing is a masterpiece. Like
Yeah.
she created a whole new world with that album, and it's like really cool, kind of like grungy inner city vibes, and like it's super cool. A lot of the production was made like off of random sounds in the studio. Like she would throw stuff against the wall and be like, "That sounds cool. Let's like put it in the song." Like, and so I just feel like little facts like that, like people don't know that. I just know that because I'm weird.
Yeah.
But and so I feel like she can be pretty underrated because
not
of her
weird.
talent, because she does all of that in the studio and then writes amazing lyrics and creates whole new worlds in her concept albums, and people don't know that, and I'm gonna get off my soapbox now.
No, I love it. You're our guest. Okay, so Halsey you would say is underrated.
Yeah, even though she's getting bigger, like for
Right.
sure I won't say that she's not, but I think she's still underrated.
Yeah, I think that most people know her for like her features or
Mhm.
whatever, and don't know her
Yeah.
for her. So
Yeah, I
I'd
agree.
say that.
accurate.
40 million monthly listeners. That's more than Eminem.
I still think she's underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
24th most listened to artist in the world.
I still think she's underrated.
All right.
McDonald's.
I love McDonald's.
Yeah, we know.
McDonald's is good.
Yo,
We all
you're
be-
like the
we all be
first
going to
girl to
McDonald's.
like ever admit that. Like that's
No,
Nah,
I
dude,
love
that's-
McDonald's.
When we
like,
write and we get hungry,
Yeah.
we go get McDonald's.
yeah, seriously,
What, huh?
like, and it's cheap. I'm sorry, like, I'm poor.
so you'd say that's properly rated or
I don't know. People give it so much crap. I guess I'll just go in the middle.
yeah. I feel like it does get a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm
Probably for
hungry.
good reasons.
I'm
sounds
hungry
so
too.
good.
I was on
I'm
my way
so
over here. I
hungry
literally
now.
told Tanner before we started, I was like, dang, I'm so hungry.
I know. We're
trying to
actually
go
just
get
gonna
some
cut the
McDonald's.
podcast right now. No.
Bring the mics to the car.
We're gonna all go to Taco Bell down the street.
Taco Bell. We're going to McDonald's.
Dude, I wanted to do a car cast. That'd be fun. We should
That would
like
be sick.
drive down Sunset and listen to this song and then have a car cast.
It's a great song. Roses by the Band Camino. Super good.
Let's do it.
My favorite
Yeah.
song by them is See Through, though, if you want a song recommendation by them. See Through by the Band Camino. Super good.
Okay. Another one. What are your thoughts? Or sorry, no, that's not the question. The question is, Shure, or how do you pronounce it? Shure.
Sure.
Shure
Like
microphones.
Sure.
Shure microphones.
Yeah. I've heard sure.
That
Sure.
one.
This one.
SM7B.
Okay.
This is the one that Chris uses.
Right.
So you recorded mid-May on that.
Yeah. What
What
about it?
Overrated, underrated.
Overrated, underrated, popular.
I don't really know because I haven't really worked very much with it. It seems like a really good mic. It seems like it did really well for us on that song. It sounds great. I don't know.
I'd say it's pretty underrated. I found out, and the reason why I say that is because Chris has educated me. Apparently, Michael Jackson used?
Michael Jackson
Sort of
used
a-
that microphone to record Thriller. Not that one.
I mean,
but
not this one.
Not that one
microphone.
right there.
Not the one in
Logic,
front of me.
Logic uses
If it
that
was.
microphone. Tons of artists use that microphone.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I mean, I've
crazy.
seen it on like TikTok a bunch. A lot of singers on TikTok, I've seen them use it. I
Yeah.
liked it. I want one. I'm
Yeah,
just
like if you look
poor.
up Michael Jackson recording Thriller, it's like him and he's like with Stevie Wonder and both using SM7Bs. Like it's
Homeboy Stevie Wonder?
yeah. He be in the stew with the Shure.
Yeah, but I don't think he even knows that he was in the stew, if you know what I mean. That was bad. That was rude. Okay. Last
Does he ever
one.
know where he?
Probably not. The last question is
That's awful. Sorry.
underrated,
Sorry.
overrated, or probably
Just quit it with
Yeah,
that word.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
say in the
I'm just
middle
gonna
or
go with it. Making music.
Like for me, or
That's a
just
weird
like,
question.
In general.
or just like in general.
In general.
I think I don't know because it's hard to make music if you don't like it. I mean, I feel like everybody likes music, right?
Right.
But I mean, if you don't really care for the process of it or what goes into it, then I feel like it's probably seems overrated to some people. But I don't know. That's kind of a hard one. I guess it could fall just to each their own again. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
because for me, it's always just been so like up in my face.
Up in your face.
and
in your life.
I've loved it, but I know plenty of people that are just like, oh yeah, like I took a couple of years of piano lessons, wasn't for me, and they just kind of are done with it after that, and
That's
that's
wild to
fine.
me.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess to each their own on that one.
I guess I would say the reason why I asked it was because for me, coming up with like any lyrics is just it's not a thing. Like I don't understand how you two do it.
Yeah,
Like,
right,
I've
bro.
never
You
understood
wrote
that.
Play This. Most of your verse in Play This and COVID.
Yeah, but that was like you knew how long that took me. And like for you can like come up with it fairly quick. And obviously you've been doing it way longer.
Well, yeah.
But like
process is different for everyone. It takes longer for some people. And
I
Yeah,
guess
like Kendrick
for me
Lamar,
it was
it
just
takes
like,
him
how do I
like
do that?
when he dropped Damn, like how long's it been? Almost 4 years almost. But like NF.
I can't remember what song
Yeah.
it was, but on To Pimp a Butterfly, it took him like 6 months. Like the beat was made and finished, and it took him 6 months to come up with the lyrics for one of
Yeah.
his songs.
That's crazy.
So
The more you know.
Are you
Go ahead. No,
are you
yeah, go.
I want to know, since we've talked about your favorite artist, everyone's in your eyes the most underrated artist in your eyes.
It's just one.
Yeah. So like we'll hear from you first, then I want Tanner Ben.
Oh,
Unless you're still sticking with Halsey, but like you take into account everything, like most underrated artist.
do I get brownie points if I say Chris?
I mean, I ain't gonna say nothing, but I do my own production, mix, mastering, writing, engineering. So I mean, like, I'm just kidding.
That's hard. 'Cause I love the band Camino. I've mentioned them like 4 or 5 times already. They're great.
Too many. No, I'm just kidding.
But or like Jeremy Zucker is really cool. I don't know how many people know about him.
he's good.
He's a fair
or-
amount. He's up there with like
Is
the
he?
same amount of monthly listeners as Logic and Russ.
Oh,
and,
cool.
Really? I didn't know.
And NF. They're about 12 to 13,
Yeah.
14 million.
Like Chelsea Cutler's really cool too. She writes some really cool stuff. I know that there's more on my phone that I like.
Just one. You
Just
got
one.
He was like the most underrated
Can I
artist.
cheat and look at my phone really quick?
No.
I can't.
Off the dome.
Off
I was
the
kidding. Yeah, you can
dome.
look at your phone.
Okay, please hold.
Go to Spotify stats.
All right, we'll go to Tanner while you looking.
Artist.
Most underrated.
Pablo
Unless you have yours.
Picasso.
Unless you have yours.
Me?
Yeah, and give me a brief explanation why.
I have mine,
Okay.
so I can go first.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you would even know who he is. His name's Jim Croce. He's popular in the 70s, but he's like a super good storyteller, and the guitar in his songs is incredible. So, I mean, I think he only released 2 albums, and then he died right after. So it's just like what he could have done after is why I think he was underrated, because his music was already so good in his first 2 albums that
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think he could have just gone way better?
yeah, for sure.
Interesting. David Croce.
Jim. It's
Where'd you get that?
Croce. But yeah,
Jim
I'll
is
have to
short
show
for
you
David.
guys some of his songs. I'm trying to think of one for like today's time, but
I mean, it
Can't
don't
think
gotta
of
be. I mean, that's what I was thinking, but
yeah,
it doesn't have to be. Like, yeah, dude. Yeah, anytime. Jim Croce.
yeah.
Ashton,
crazy.
You
I'm gonna go
you
listen
put
to
the
him.
phone
Dude,
down.
he's good.
I did.
I'll
I
show you
did
some
put the
of his
phone
songs.
down. Honestly, like, and this goes back to the beginning, right? The Backseat Lovers are insane. Like, they are such talented writers. They're local to Utah, which I always feel like is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But they play all the instruments. Like, they are so talented. They just, they leave me speechless, which I feel like doesn't happen to me
That's
very
awesome.
often. And hearing them live too, like, they really know how to perform really well. So yeah, I'd probably say the Backseat Lovers.
That's awesome.
Dude, I've been thinking. I don't even know.
Really?
I would say NF, but like NF is pretty big. Like, you know.
I mean, he could still be the most. He could still be the most underrated artist because I mean, of what he does, his content. You know.
Dude, I don't know. There's so many good ones, but I think one that comes to mind, and he's not like super underrated, but I just don't ever really hear from him, is Somo. I think Somo is so good.
I've never heard you talk about him in a long time.
I think Somo's so mo.
I don't even know if I
So
know any
mo.
songs.
I
probably
don't
do,
think
but-
he was the
He's
original.
more R&B, right?
I don't know. He does a lot of covers, but you know the song
Let's hear it, Tanner.
Ride?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That kind. I think his
Really?
music is so good and his voice is fire, but just not a lot of clout for him, I guess.
Interesting.
What's yours, Chris?
Well, okay, I'm not even gonna pretend like I don't know. Initially,
Logic.
I thought about I wouldn't even
Logic.
say Logic. Logic's not even in the question for me.
Logic,
Like
really?
I feel like he has like five times platinum single. He's got multi-platinum albums and stuff like that. Initially, I was gonna say Ryan Caraveo,
I knew it.
just because he's not as big as like I feel like he deserves to be. But then I was thinking most underrated for what they do, I'd say Russ. Because he sits down, right? Gets his laptop, makes a melody, makes the drums, produces the beat. Even though his beats may be like very simple, he like produces the beat, 100% him. He sits down, write down the lyrics, come up with the melody. His voice is incredible. His lyricism is incredible. His raps are incredible. Like everything, mixes, masters it, does it 100% by himself,
Uh-huh.
and then puts it out. And it's like a lot of rappers do things themselves. A lot of rappers can produce, but it's like how many of them do it 100% themselves, like 95% of the time,
I feel that.
and then are as big as him and played the industry as well as he played the industry. That's what I'd say.
It's true.
True.
True. I came up with another one for today's time. If you guys have
Yeah.
heard
Yeah,
of
yeah,
I wanna hear.
Giveon, you've heard him.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
listening
Have
to
you
him
heard
on the
of it?
way here.
Dude.
I showed you him.
Who?
He was the guy
Giveon,
on
did
Drake's
you?
song.
Oh yeah,
Chicago
Chicago
Freestyle.
freestyle.
Yeah,
Dude, his voice is so interesting to me.
It's
He's
so
like one of
deep
the
and it's so
greatest
cool.
right now. Yeah.
I love it.
It's
good.
weird because it's almost like deep, but it's like I feel like there's no like low frequencies in his voice. Like it's
Yeah.
just so clean.
It is smooth. It's very smooth. He's really good. Anyways, Ashton, thank you so much for coming on to the Oddcast.
Yeah, it
Thanks
was
for
great.
having
Having
me.
ya.
Have me
Um,
back sometime.
yeah,
I'd love to
second-
come
You're gonna
back.
come
You're gonna come
perform
back.
next time, right?
Seriously.
Sure, yeah.
Bring your guitar and we'll have you perform.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
Sweet.
that'd be super cool. Anyways, I'm Tanner Makinoa. That's Ben Swallow. That's Chris Stoddard. And that is Ashton Hunt. And we got to go to the gym.
Make sure you give her a follow. by
Yes,
the way.
Yes,
follow her. Follow
follow
her
me.
on all of her platforms. Peace.